Have you ever wondered why we look up at the vast, silent night sky and feel a deep, almost instinctual need to put a human face on the infinite? We step outside on a quiet evening, feeling the gentle breeze against our skin, and we stare into the deep, dark cosmos, searching for meaning, searching for a creator, searching for what many people call God. We have a perfectly natural human tendency to imagine a grand architect sitting somewhere out there, perhaps just beyond the veil of the stars, a being who thinks and feels much like we do, gently orchestrating the movements of the celestial bodies with a conscious, deliberate hand. But the truth of the universe, the honest, rigorously studied reality of what actually governs everything from the smallest, vibrating atom to the largest, most massive supercluster of galaxies, is something entirely different. It is a mystery far more profound, far more beautifully complex, and far less human than we could ever have imagined in our earliest stories. When we truly examine the cosmos with open eyes and a quiet mind, we find a contemplative journey waiting for us, a path of discovery that gently challenges our deepest assumptions and replaces our simple, comforting narratives with a reality that is both awe-inspiring and deeply, wonderfully humbling. The universe does not operate like a human mind. It operates through ancient, primordial laws, through a silent, endless dance of matter, dark energy, gravity, and unimaginable stretches of time. To understand what this ultimate reality is, to truly grasp the nature of this supreme organizing principle that permeates the dark, we must first understand the true, staggering scale of the canvas upon which it paints. We must leave our human preconceptions behind on the surface of our small, rocky planet and embark on a quiet, peaceful journey into the deep time and vast space of the cosmos. Our home, the Milky Way, is what scientists call a barred spiral galaxy, a breathtakingly beautiful, slowly swirling structure of gas, dust, and ancient stars. It stretches across 100,000 light-years of space from one curving edge to the other. To begin to understand that distance, imagine if you could somehow travel at the absolute speed of light, which is the fastest that anything can possibly move in the fabric of our universe. Even at that incomprehensible velocity, flying so impossibly fast that you could circle the entire Earth 7 times in a single second, it would still take you 100,000 years just to cross from one side of our local galactic home to the other. That is a span of time significantly longer than modern humans have even existed on this planet, far longer than the time since we first learned to paint our earliest stories on the cold, shadowed walls of ancient caves. It is a duration of time longer than the rise, the flourishing, and the eventual fall of every single civilization that has ever left a mark on Earth, all combined into one continuous, fleeting timeline. And yet, this massive, rotating structure is just our tiny, localized neighborhood in the endless cosmic ocean. The Milky Way is home to somewhere between 200 billion and 400 billion individual stars. Each one of those twinkling, distant points of light might have its own family of rocky and gaseous planets orbiting around it, with quiet, cratered moons circling those remote worlds, and ancient, icy asteroids tumbling endlessly through the cold, dark void of space. Our sun, the steady, burning star that gives us all our life and warms our faces on a summer day, is just one single, ordinary star among those hundreds of billions resting quietly in a peaceful, relatively calm region called the Orion Arm, situated about 26,000 light-years away from the galactic center. As you lie there right now, feeling completely still and deeply at peace, your body resting heavily and safely, you're actually hurtling through space. Our sun, carrying the Earth and all the other planets in our solar family with it, orbits the dense center of the Milky Way at a staggering speed of roughly 500,000 miles per hour. But our galaxy is so vast, so incredibly, mind-numbingly enormous, that even at this tremendous breakneck velocity, it takes our entire solar system about 250 million years to complete just one single lap around the galactic core. Astronomers refer to this vast, almost unimaginable span of time as a cosmic year or a galactic year. During the entire age when the mighty dinosaurs roamed across the surface of the Earth, looking up at the very same stars we see tonight, our solar system did not even manage to complete one full orbit. The very last time our sun was in this exact position in the swirling galaxy, the most complex forms of life existing anywhere on our planet were simple, primitive marine organisms floating in the ancient, primordial seas. This is the sheer scale of the quiet majesty we are dealing with. It is an environment where the space existing between things is almost unimaginably empty, a profound, absolute silence that stretches on forever into the dark. Our nearest stellar neighbor, a small, gentle red dwarf star, known to astronomers as Proxima Centauri, sits about 4.24 light-years away from us. To help your mind gently grasp this kind of extreme distance, imagine if we could magically shrink our massive blazing sun down to the size of a single, tiny grain of sand. On that miniaturized scale, Proxima Centauri would just be another tiny grain of sand, but it would be sitting a full 4 miles away. The entire expanse of space existing between those two microscopic grains would be essentially a complete void, containing perhaps just the faintest, barely detectable whisper of gas and dust, and the occasional solitary particle of cosmic radiation traveling silently through the eternal dark. For almost all of recorded human history, as our ancestors sat around their glowing fires and looked up at the hazy, luminous band of light stretching across the dark overhead, they truly thought that was the entire universe. They felt a profound sense of wonder and told beautiful, imaginative stories to explain the glorious mystery above them. The ancient Greeks believed it was milk spilled from the breast of the goddess Hera. The Romans looked up and called it the Via Lacta, the Milky Road. In ancient India, it was deeply revered as the sacred path that souls traveled upon their long, quiet journey into the afterlife. Aboriginal Australians looked up at the very same sky and saw a great, shimmering river flowing eternally through the darkness. People across every era and every human culture have felt that same deep, existential curiosity, staring up into the infinite and wondering what ultimate power created it all. It was not until the 1920s that the true, staggering reality of our situation was gently revealed to us. An astronomer named Edwin Hubble, working in the quiet, chilly isolation of the Mount Wilson Observatory in California, used what was then the largest telescope in the entire world, featuring a massive reflector mirror 100 inches across, to peer deeper into the cosmic mystery than anyone ever had before. He was patiently, meticulously observing a specific class of pulsating star, known as a Cepheid variable, within a glowing, fuzzy patch of light that everyone at the time called the Andromeda Nebula. By carefully measuring how these distant stars pulsed in brightness with a regular period, he uncovered a truth that forever shattered our small, comfortable view of creation. The Andromeda Nebula was not just a simple cloud of gas drifting inside our own Milky Way, as the scientific community had widely assumed for generations. It was, in fact, an entirely separate galaxy, a magnificent, independent island universe of stars in its own right, sitting roughly 2 million light years away from us in the dark. In that single, breathtaking moment of scientific discovery, our entire galaxy, everything we had ever known or seen in the night sky, was suddenly reduced to being just one single galaxy among many others. The universe was vastly larger, immensely older, and infinitely more profound than anyone had ever dared to imagine. Today, our modern instruments and dedicated researchers tell us that there are around 2 trillion galaxies scattered throughout the vast expanse of the observable universe. 2 trillion. That is a 2 followed by 12 zeros, a number so unimaginably huge that our human brains simply stop functioning when we try to truly picture it. Each one of those 2 trillion galaxies contains billions, or sometimes even trillions, of its own ancient stars. It is precisely in the face of this staggering, mind-bending cosmic scale that our traditional concepts of a localized, human-like creator begin to feel incredibly small and inadequate. The true organizing principle of this infinite cosmos, the ultimate force that breathes life, structure, and movement into the void, is not a person with hands and a voice. It is a set of beautiful, ancient, unwavering physical laws. It is gravity, shaping the boundless darkness over billions of years of silent operation. It is time, allowing breathtaking complexity to bloom slowly from primordial simplicity. This silent, invisible architecture is the reality of the ultimate force. It is a force that does not judge our daily mistakes, does not demand our loud praises, and does not look anything like us. It simply is. And in its quiet, eternal, unbroken existence, it creates structures of such unimaginable majesty and terrifying scale that the only appropriate logical response is a deep, peaceful sense of wonder and profound humility. As we embark together on this meditative, educational journey through the deepest corners of the cosmos, we will slowly, gently strip away the comforting myths and the human faces we have painted onto the distant stars. We will come face to face with the beautiful, rigorous reality of what truly governs the infinite dark. You are entirely safe here, floating peacefully in your thoughts as we explore the deepest mysteries of the physical universe, discovering that the real, scientifically verifiable story is infinitely more comforting, majestic, and miraculous than any myth we could have ever invented. We will journey through the vast cosmic web, tracing the silent, inexorable forces that built the true giants of the deep. And in doing so, we might just find a new kind of peace, a profound, lasting connection to the vast ancient systems that ultimately, over billions of years, created the very atoms resting peacefully in your body right now. Have you ever paused in the profound silence of a deeply dark night to ask yourself what exactly holds all of this magnificent beauty together? We step outside, leaving the bright artificial lights of our modern cities behind, and we look up at the scattered, twinkling stars. Immediately, our human minds try to draw connecting lines between them, creating familiar constellations, painting pictures of strong hunters, fierce animals, and powerful mythological figures in the vast, empty canvas of the night sky. We have an instinctual, deeply rooted desire to find order in the apparent chaos, to find a comforting, parental hand that carefully placed each blazing sun exactly where it belongs. But the true nature of the order in the cosmos is far more elegant, far more ancient, and far more mysterious than any human architect could ever design. The invisible thread that binds the universe, the silent force that orchestrates the grand, swirling dance of galaxies, is not a conscious mind issuing commands from the dark. It is the gentle, relentless, and completely unwavering law of gravity. Gravity is the true, invisible sculptor of the infinite. It is a force that does not think, does not feel, and does not judge. It simply pulls, constantly and eternally, drawing matter together across unimaginable gulfs of space to build the breathtaking structures we see glowing in our telescopes today. When we observe the majestic, swirling pinwheels of distant galaxies, we are witnessing a delicate, billions of years old balance between the forward momentum of spinning stars and the inward, protective embrace of gravity. But as astronomers stared deeper into the quiet, dark spaces between the stars, they discovered a profound paradox that completely shattered our simple understanding of how the universe operates. When scientists meticulously calculated the amount of visible matter in these spinning galaxies, the glowing stars, the swirling clouds of colorful gas, and the thick lanes of primordial dust, they found that there simply was not enough mass to hold them together. The galaxies were spinning so incredibly fast that, according to the standard laws of physics based solely on what we could see, they should have completely torn themselves apart, flinging their billions of stars out into the cold, empty, intergalactic void. Yet, there they remain, spinning peacefully and perfectly intact, glowing softly in the cosmic night. This contradiction between what we can observe with our eyes and what must actually be happening in reality is one of the most beautiful and humbling mysteries of modern science. It forces us to admit that our senses are limited and that the universe contains invisible wonders far beyond our immediate perception. The solution to this magnificent paradox introduces us to the true, hidden scaffolding of the cosmos. Scientists realize that there must be an enormous amount of invisible mass surrounding and permeating these galaxies, a transparent, untouchable substance that does not emit, reflect, or absorb light. They name this profound mystery dark matter. In a typical spiral galaxy like our own Milky Way, dark matter accounts for about 90% of the total mass. The stars, the gas, the dust, the planets, and everything we have ever known, loved, or interacted with make up just a tiny, fragile fraction of what is actually out there. We are essentially living in a vast, invisible ocean of dark matter, a silent, ghostly presence that wraps around our galaxy like a protective cocoon, holding the swirling arms of stars firmly in place. This realization demands a profound shift in our perspective. It means that the primary organizing principle of the universe, the dominant substance that dictates the shape and the ultimate fate of the cosmos, is something we cannot even see. It is a silent, formless entity that guides the formation of everything from the smallest dwarf galaxy to the largest superclusters, acting as the ultimate, unseen creator of cosmic structure. To truly appreciate the sheer scale and the breathtaking power of this invisible architecture, we must journey far beyond our own local neighborhood and look at the extreme edges of what the universe has patiently built over billions of years of deep time. We must look at the true, quiet giants of the void, sitting majestically at the very heart of a massive collection of galaxies known to astronomers as the Abel 2029 cluster. There is a cosmic monster designated as IC 1101. When we point our most advanced telescopes toward this specific region of the sky, we see a massive, bound collection of galaxies, all performing a slow, gravitational dance around a common center of mass. And right there, dominating the very heart of that ancient cluster, sits IC 1101, a galaxy so unimaginably enormous that it makes our own Milky Way look like nothing more than a tiny, insignificant speck of floating dust. This magnificent giant is estimated to be somewhere around 4 to 6 million light-years across. Let that staggering, almost incomprehensible measurement wash over you and settle gently into your mind. Our entire Milky Way galaxy, an environment so vast that it takes light itself 100,000 years to cross from one edge to the other, is just a tiny, fragile fraction of the size of this single, colossal object. If you were to somehow place IC 1101 exactly where our Milky Way currently sits, it would not just engulf our home. It would completely swallow our entire cosmic neighborhood, absorbing the nearby Andromeda galaxy and all of our local satellite dwarf galaxies into its massive, glowing body. The sheer volume of material contained within this silent, elliptical giant is almost impossible for a human brain to process. It is estimated to contain around 100 trillion individual stars, 100 trillion burning nuclear furnaces, each one casting its ancient light out into the endless dark. If you were to start counting the stars in this galaxy right now, counting one star every single second, without ever stopping to sleep, eat, or breathe, it would take you over 3 million years just to count to 100 trillion. This galaxy did not spring into existence overnight, nor was it willed into being by a sudden, conscious command. It grew to its terrifying, majestic size through the slow, patient, and sometimes violent process of galactic mergers, quietly consuming smaller galaxies over billions of years of cosmic history. Every single one of those 100 trillion stars was gathered together by the relentless, invisible pull of gravity and the deep, unseen web of dark matter. This is how the universe truly creates, not with human hands, not with a spoken voice, but with silent, persistent, ancient forces operating over time scales that stretch far beyond the very limits of our human comprehension. The late, great astronomer Carl Sagan, who possessed a unique gift for translating complex scientific truths into profound poetry, once noted that our contemplations of the cosmos stir us, sending a tingling down the spine, a catch in the voice, as if we are approaching the greatest of mysteries. And he was entirely right. When we finally confront the reality of dark matter, when we bravely look at the unimaginable vastness of galaxies like IC 1101, we are experiencing the exact same profound sense of awe that our ancient ancestors felt when they looked up and imagined powerful gods residing in the sky. The crucial difference is that our modern sense of wonder is deeply grounded in rigorous, verifiable reality. We do not need to invent a human-like creator to feel a true sense of reverence, the intricate mathematical elegance of gravity, the mysterious, unseen presence of dark matter, and the vast unfolding epic of cosmic evolution are infinitely more majestic and far more beautiful than any simplistic human narrative. They teach us a necessary humility, reminding us gently that we are not the center of the universe, and that the cosmos does not revolve around our small, daily human concerns. This profound realization, rather than making us feel cold, isolated, or abandoned, should actually bring us a deep, lasting sense of inner peace. There is a profound, comforting safety in knowing with absolute certainty that the universe is governed by steady, unwavering physical laws, rather than the unpredictable, emotional whims of a personified deity. The exact same invisible forces that hold the 100 trillion stars of IC 1101 in their delicate orbital dance are the exact same forces that keep your feet firmly planted on the ground right now. They are the same forces that gently pull the swelling tides of our oceans, and the same primordial forces that allowed the very carbon and iron atoms currently resting in your body to form in the intense, burning hearts of dying stars billions of years ago. You are not separate from this grand, sweeping cosmic journey. You are an intricate, deeply essential part of it. The deep, primordial silence of the void is not empty. It is filled with the invisible, guiding hand of dark matter and the gentle pull of gravity, silently weaving the complex fabric of existence across the infinite. This beautiful continuity between the massive, swirling galaxies and the quiet beating of your own heart is the ultimate scientific revelation. We do not need a face in the clouds to feel a true sense of belonging. We belong because we were forged in the exact same cosmic furnaces that light up the night sky, and we are held securely by the exact same physical laws that govern the grand motion of the largest superclusters. Our journey of understanding is an infinite path, a quiet meditation on the nature of reality itself, where every new scientific discovery only deepens our respectful wonder. As you rest here, contemplating these magnificent, rigorously studied truths, allow yourself to feel the gentle, reassuring weight of reality. Let go of the need for a human-like architect and completely embrace the beautiful, infinite, and ancient mystery of a universe that creates itself through the slow, elegant, and peaceful dance of physical laws. We are just at the very beginning of understanding this incredible reality, and the path ahead is filled with even more astonishing, quietly beautiful revelations. Have you ever considered how the most breathtakingly beautiful things in our human experience are often born not from a gentle, deliberate touch, but from profound, ancient chaos? When we imagine a creator, we instinctively picture a supreme architect standing over a cosmic drafting table, carefully placing each star in its designated position, delicately tracing the spiral arms of galaxies with a soft, intentional brush stroke. We desperately want to believe that the vast, swirling structures of the universe were designed with a sense of peaceful purpose, perfectly organized from the very beginning. But the universe, in its infinite wisdom and silent majesty, utilizes a fundamentally different method to paint its masterpiece. The true process of cosmic creation challenges our everyday understanding of order and forces us to look deeply into the tension between what is known and the vast, shadowy realms of the unknown. To truly comprehend this, we must return to that towering giant residing in the distant constellation of Virgo, the massive elliptical galaxy known as IC 1101. This magnificent structure did not simply spring into existence perfectly formed, nor did it grow to its enormous size through normal, quiet processes alone. Instead, it became a true monster of the void through an act of silent, cosmic violence that has been happening steadily for billions of years. As astronomers continued to study this quiet giant, peering across a distance so vast that the light reaching our telescopes today left its source over 1 billion years ago, they began to uncover a story that sounds almost terrifying to our fragile human sensibilities. IC 1101 is what scientists refer to as a cannibal galaxy. It has literally been eating other galaxies. To understand this process of galactic cannibalism, we must gently shift our perspective and think about how the relentless law of gravity works on the absolute largest scales imaginable. Galaxies, as massive and solitary as they might appear, do not exist in complete isolation. They are grouped together in massive clusters, held tightly within a mutual gravitational attraction. Within these ancient, crowded environments, Galaxies move around each other, sometimes passing close by in a delicate gravitational dance, and sometimes colliding directly in a brilliant display of cosmic force. When two galaxies draw near to one another, their immense gravitational fields begin to distort their beautiful, fragile shapes. Millions of ancient stars get pulled completely out of their normal, peaceful orbits. If one galaxy is significantly larger than the other, something profoundly humbling occurs. The larger galaxy simply absorbs the smaller one, stripping away its stars and its vital, life-giving gas, adding all of that scattered material into its own massive, growing body. This is precisely what has been happening to IC1101 for billions of years in the deep, freezing silence of space. Sitting powerfully at the gravitational center of everything around it, within the Abel 2029 cluster, it acts as an inescapable, quiet predator. Smaller galaxies that venture too close to its domain get trapped by its enormous, unyielding gravity. They spiral inward, getting slowly torn apart and consumed over millions of years. Scientists meticulously studying the faint, residual light from this system estimate that IC1101 has undergone at least 76 major mergers over its long, complex history. 76 times another substantial, independent galaxy fell into this cosmic giant and was entirely absorbed into its massive body. And those are merely the major mergers we can clearly identify. Countless smaller dwarf galaxies have also been consumed, galaxies so small that they barely even registered as a meal for this enormous predator. All of those epic collisions, all of that unimaginable gravitational chaos has stirred up the 100 trillion stars like someone mixing ingredients in a cosmic bowl. What remains today is a smooth, featureless giant, a grand testament to billions of years of silent, galactic consumption. But here we encounter a beautiful, deeply poetic paradox that challenges our intuition about how the universe operates. Despite containing 100 trillion stars, which is roughly 250 times more stars than our own home galaxy, IC1101 is actually a dying galaxy. The stars dwelling within its vast elliptical body are almost entirely old. Most of them are what astronomers call red giants or yellow stars, ancient stellar objects that have already burned through most of their primordial fuel over billions of years. Very few new stars are currently being born inside this massive structure. This might seem entirely counterintuitive at first glance. With so much mass and so many stars, you might expect this environment to be a vibrant, glowing hotbed of stellar birth. But we must remember how it grew so extraordinarily large in the first place. Every single time it consumed another neighboring galaxy, it also greedily consumed that galaxy's precious gas supply. Gas is the fundamental fuel required for star formation. Without cold, dense clouds of gas, new stars simply cannot be born. Over billions of years of relentless cannibalism, this giant has either used up or violently expelled most of its available gas. What remains is a quiet, meditative giant, an ancient kingdom that has conquered all of its neighbors, but sadly has no children to carry on its legacy, slowly and inevitably fading into the cosmic night. If we journey even deeper into the mystery, traveling to the very heart of IC1101, we find something even more incredible, a reality that makes our human notions of power seem utterly insignificant. Sitting patiently at the exact center of this cosmic giant is one of the largest known supermassive black holes in the entire universe. Every large galaxy contains a supermassive black hole at its core. Our own Milky Way harbors one called Sagittarius A star, which contains roughly 4 million times the mass of our Sun. But the black hole reigning at the center of IC1101 belongs in an entirely different, terrifying category of existence. Scientists estimate that it contains somewhere between 40 billion and 100 billion times the mass of our Sun. To truly contextualize this single solitary black hole might contain 25,000 times more mass than the black hole located at the center of our entire Milky Way. All of that incomprehensible mass is perfectly compressed into a region of space from which absolutely nothing, not even a single photon of light, can ever escape. The physics of such extreme environments is bizarre, highly counterintuitive, and a profound reminder of the limitations of our everyday human knowledge. The gravitational pull at the event horizon, the absolute boundary of the black hole, is so intensely powerful that space and time themselves become warped beyond recognition. The size of an event horizon is directly dependent on its mass. For a black hole containing 50 billion solar masses, this boundary of no return would have a radius of roughly 150 billion kilometers. To put this staggering dimension into a perspective we can almost grasp, our entire solar system, stretching all the way from the burning surface of the Sun out to the distant, freezing orbit of Neptune, is about 9 billion kilometers across. The event horizon of this single black hole is roughly 16 times larger than our entire solar system. If you were to somehow place this monstrous black hole exactly where our Sun currently sits, its dark, consuming edge would extend well beyond the orbit of Pluto, silently and instantly engulfing everything we consider to be our cosmic home. Time itself would pass completely differently near this boundary. An outside observer watching someone fall toward the horizon would see them slow down and appear to freeze forever, never actually seeming to cross the threshold into the dark singularity waiting at the center. Yet, despite its enormous size and terrifying physical properties, this particular black hole is currently relatively quiet, waiting patiently in the dark because it has already consumed most of the material easily within its reach. The renowned astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson frequently reminds us that the universe is under no obligation to make sense to us, and in the presence of such colossal quiet power, we feel the truth of those words. We are forced to abandon our arrogance. This majestic interplay of creation through destruction, of hierarchical structure formation, where the universe slowly builds complex things from the bottom up, starting from simple, collapsing clouds of primordial gas, is the true face of the cosmos. It does not look like us. It does not behave according to our gentle, moral desires. It operates on physical rules that have patiently shaped reality over billions of years, creating structures of staggering complexity and terrifying beauty. As we contemplate the silent, decaying grandeur of IC 1101 and the sleeping, monstrous black hole at its core, we undergo a subtle but profound emotional transformation. We move from being passive observers of the night sky to becoming curious, humbled cosmic explorers. The tension we feel between the safety of our small, rocky planet and the violent, majestic reality of the universe does not need to be a source of fear. Instead, this intellectual tension is the very source of our wonder. By accepting that our knowledge is limited, and by embracing the fact that the universe operates on scales that dwarf our entire civilization, we find a unique kind of inner peace. It is the deep, resonant peace that comes from surrendering our need for absolute control and simply allowing ourselves to be a conscious, questioning part of an infinite, evolving mystery. The journey of learning is an endless path, and the cosmos will continually challenge our perceptions, gently guiding us away from our comforting myths and toward a reality that is far richer, far older, and far more beautiful than we could have ever imagined alone. Have you ever realized that while we search the heavens for a symbol of absolute permanence, looking for an eternal creator who preserves things exactly as they are, the universe itself is quietly, gently pulling itself apart? When we stand under the vast ancient canopy of the night sky, we are deeply comforted by the illusion of stability. We see the very same bright constellations that our ancestors saw thousands of years ago, and we naturally assume that this grand cosmic architecture is fixed, eternal, and perfectly maintained by a conscious, unchanging hand. For most of the 20th century, even the most brilliant astronomers assumed that the grand expansion of the universe, the majestic outward motion that began with the primordial spark of the Big Bang, was gradually slowing down. This made perfect intuitive sense to our human minds. Everything in the universe is constantly pulling on everything else through the invisible, relentless force of gravity. You would naturally expect all of that immense gravitational attraction to act exactly like a cosmic brake, gradually and peacefully slowing the expansion of the infinite dark over billions of years. We imagined a universe that would eventually settle into a quiet, stable configuration, a permanent monument to a divine architect. But the cosmos, in its boundless mystery, had a profoundly different revelation waiting for us, a truth that completely reshapes our understanding of what the ultimate organizing principle actually does. In the year 1998, two independent teams of astronomers made a shocking, beautiful discovery that forever altered our journey of understanding. They were meticulously measuring the expansion rate of the universe by observing distant supernovas, using these brilliant, dying stars as standard candles to calculate unimaginably vast cosmic distances. What they found in the deep silence of the void was completely unexpected, a paradox that defied all human logic and intuition. The universe was not slowing down at all. It was actually speeding up. Distant galaxies were moving away from us faster than closer ones, and the overall rate of expansion was accelerating over time, stretching the very fabric of space with a quiet, invisible power. This staggering discovery was so entirely unexpected that the brilliant astronomers initially thought they had simply made a mathematical error. But as more rigorous data poured in from other observations across the globe, the profound result held up to absolute scientific scrutiny. Something incredibly powerful, completely invisible, and fundamentally ancient was actively pushing the universe apart, counteracting the familiar pull of gravity and causing space itself to expand at an ever-increasing rate. Scientists name this mysterious, ghost-like force dark energy, and it forces us to rethink everything we thought we knew about the ultimate nature of creation and the concept of a static, eternal God. Though the simple name tells us very little about what this force actually is, we now know with rigorous scientific certainty that dark energy makes up about 68% of all the energy existing in the entire universe. It is the absolute dominant force in the cosmos, a silent, pervasive presence that acts as a kind of anti-gravity, pushing space apart rather than gently pulling it together. We know that its profound effects become more and more important over time as the universe expands and ordinary visible matter becomes more and more spread out into the freezing void. But we still do not know exactly what dark energy is made of, where it comes from, or why it possesses the exact, delicate strength that it does. It might be a fundamental property of empty space itself, a theoretical concept that the brilliant physicist Albert Einstein once proposed as the cosmological constant and later called his biggest blunder. It might be an entirely new kind of energy field that smoothly pervades the entire universe, a silent breath animating the void. Whatever its true nature, dark energy is the true, active sculptor of the cosmos today, and it is actively, relentlessly reshaping the ultimate future of the infinite. It is not a force that preserves. It is a force that disperses, carrying the grand structures of the universe away from each other into the deep, quiet, dark. To truly grasp the existential implications of this invisible force, we must look again at our colossal friend, the giant elliptical galaxy known as IC 1101. For billions of years, this true monster of the universe has sat at the center of the Abel 2029 cluster, growing massively by consuming its galactic neighbors. But because of the relentless nature of dark energy, the days of its magnificent growth through galactic cannibalism are strictly numbered. As the very fabric of space expands faster and faster, distant objects recede from us at ever-increasing speeds. There is a strict physical limit to how fast light can travel through the vacuum, but there is absolutely no limit to how fast space itself can expand. Eventually, objects will be carried away from each other by the accelerating expansion of space, much faster than their light can ever travel to cross the growing divide. When that melancholic moment finally happens, those distant galaxies will simply vanish behind a dark, impenetrable cosmic horizon, forever beyond our reach and forever beyond our sight. For IC 1101, this means that eventually there will simply be no more galaxies left in the surrounding void for it to consume. It will become profoundly isolated, a lonely, fading giant floating in an ever-emptying universe, watching quietly as one by one the other distant galaxies simply fade from view. In roughly 100 billion years, the relentless expansion will have accelerated to the precise point where galaxies located outside of the local supercluster will begin to disappear completely over the cosmic horizon. From the hypothetical perspective of any observer floating near IC 1101, the majestic, crowded night sky will simply start to empty out. One by one, the brilliant, distant galaxy clusters will fade permanently from view, their ancient light no longer able to reach across the expanding, terrifying void. The currently observable universe, which today contains about 2 trillion beautiful, swirling galaxies, will appear to shrink and shrink until there is nothing left to see outside of their immediate, localized cluster. This is the ultimate isolation that awaits every single structure in the cosmos, a profound, inescapable destiny dictated by the silent rules of dark energy, entirely cut off from everything else by the relentless, quiet expansion of space. Each isolated island of matter will be left completely alone with itself as the quiet, eternal eons roll by in the dark. And even this profound cosmic isolation is not the final chapter for our giant galaxy. Over the next 100 trillion years, the 100 trillion stars residing within IC 1101 will slowly, inevitably burn out. The most massive, brilliant blue stars died out billions of years ago, exploding as magnificent supernovas or collapsing silently into black holes. The middle-sized stars, much like our own gentle sun, will puff up into glowing red giants, beautifully shed their outer layers as colorful nebulas, and then slowly fade away as cold, dense, white dwarfs. Even the very smallest, longest-lived stars, the tiny red dwarfs that carefully burn their fuel so slowly they can shine for trillions of years, will eventually exhaust their primordial hydrogen and go completely dark. For trillions of years after the larger stars have died, these tiny, dim red dwarfs will continue to burn, providing the very last flickering light in an otherwise darkening, fading galaxy. But eventually, scientists estimate that star formation in the universe will effectively and permanently cease in about 100 trillion years. By that time, the gas and dust needed to make new stars will have been completely used up or dispersed too thinly to collapse. No new stars will ever be born to replace the ones that have died, and the glorious, brilliant era of starlight will be over forever, one by one. The 100 trillion stars of IC 1101 will wink out, and the galaxy will grow dimmer and dimmer over time scales that make the entire current age of the universe seem like nothing more than the quick blink of an eye. This grand, incredibly long process of cosmic fading challenges our deepest, most cherished human concepts of divinity. We desperately want to believe in a creator who builds things to last forever, a God who guarantees eternal life and eternal light. But the rigorously studied reality of the cosmos tells a fundamentally different, far more poetic story. The universe is not a static, permanent museum. It is a fleeting, deeply beautiful process of change. The true organizing principle of the infinite does not freeze things in perfect preservation. It allows them to bloom into magnificent, staggering complexity. And then, with the exact same gentle indifference, it allows them to slowly fade away into the deep silence. This vision of the future might seem bleak to a mind that desperately craves permanence, but there is something profoundly, breathtakingly beautiful about it. The era of stars and galaxies is just a passing phase, a brief, magnificent flowering of complexity suspended delicately between the intense, burning chaos of the early universe and the cold, absolute emptiness of the far future. We must find our ultimate peace not in the false promise of eternal preservation, but in the miraculous, staggering reality of our temporary existence. We are incredibly lucky to exist right now, during this brief, beautiful flowering of the cosmos. We are lucky enough to have evolved intelligence, to have built powerful telescopes, and to have pointed them at the vast, dark sky to uncover the deep, hidden truths of our temporary home. In all the vast, sweeping history of the universe, stretching from the violent birth of the Big Bang to the final, silent heat death, this moment right now is incredibly special. It is the exquisite, fragile moment when the universe has developed the ability to look back at itself and wonder. This realization demands a profound humility. It teaches us that to seek a human like God is to seek something far too small. The true majesty of the cosmos lies in its vast, uncaring, yet deeply awe-inspiring physical laws. Our existence is a delicate, temporary ripple in an ocean of dark energy and expanding space. By accepting this, we shed the heavy burden of cosmic importance and find a serene, quiet joy in simply being a part of the grand, unfolding mystery. We are not separate from the fading stars. We are their conscious observers, sharing in their brief, beautiful moment of illumination. The true creator, the true God of this cosmos, is not a being who promises an eternity of unchanging perfection, but rather the silent, ancient laws that permitted this brief, glorious window of light and consciousness to exist at all. As we continue our meditative journey through these mysteries, let us gently release our fear of the dark and deeply embrace the wondrous, fleeting beauty of a universe that is constantly, gracefully transforming. Have you ever wondered how something so unimaginably vast could possibly begin from something impossibly small? When we try to picture the ultimate creator of the universe, our human minds almost inevitably default to the image of a cosmic builder, an architect who deliberately drafts a blueprint and constructs the heavens from the top down. We imagine a grand design being imposed upon the void, much like a human builds a magnificent cathedral, placing each stone with conscious, deliberate intention. But as we journey deeper into the true history of the cosmos, we find that the universe did not come into existence like a constructed building. It blossomed, unfolding organically and beautifully from the bottom up, much more like a delicate, ancient seed growing into a towering forest. The true organizing principle, the reality of what we often call God, is not an external craftsman shaping reality with deliberate hands. Instead, it is the silent, perfect set of physical laws and initial conditions that allow matter and energy to completely self-organize, to weave themselves together across billions of years in the quiet dark. This process, known as hierarchical structure formation, is the true, breathtaking story of creation, a story where the microscopic and the macroscopic are intimately connected in a sweeping, eternal, cosmic dance. To truly appreciate the majestic scale of this self-organizing universe, we must gently expand our vision far beyond single galaxies, even beyond the true monsters of the void, like IC 1101, and look at the absolute largest scales of existence. When astronomers use our most advanced telescopes to map the distribution of galaxies across the observable universe, they do not find a random, chaotic scattering of stars. Instead, they find a structure of such staggering, quiet beauty that it completely takes the breath away. The universe is organized into a vast, glowing network known as the cosmic web. Imagine a delicate, infinite spiderweb spun entirely out of dark matter and glittering galaxies, stretching across billions of light years in every possible direction. This ancient web is composed of incredibly long, branching filaments, vast bridges of gas and dark matter that serve as the grand highways of the cosmos. Along these glowing threads, countless galaxies are strung like tiny, luminous pearls catching the gentle light of a distant fire. Between these magnificent filaments lie the cosmic voids, unimaginably vast, empty regions of space that span tens of millions of light years, containing almost no galaxies at all. It is a structure of profound elegance, a silent testament to the gentle, sculpting power of gravity operating over unfathomable stretches of time. Where these massive, glowing filaments of the cosmic web intersect, they form incredibly dense regions known as cosmic nodes. These nodes are the bustling, crowded crossroads of the universe, and this is exactly where we find the most massive, gravitationally bound structures in all of existence, the grand galaxy clusters. Our colossal friend, IC 1101, rests quietly at the very heart of one of these mighty nodes, the Abel 2029 cluster. It sits precisely at the bottom of the deepest gravitational well in its local region of the cosmic web, which is exactly why it was able to consume so many neighboring galaxies and grow to its terrifying size. But the true mystery, the profound question that forces us to confront the deep magic of physics, is how this breathtaking web came to be. How did the universe know how to arrange itself into such an orderly pattern without a conscious mind directing the traffic? The answer lies not in the stars themselves, but in the deepest ancient history of the universe, reaching all the way back to the very first fleeting moments of the Big Bang, a time when the entire observable cosmos was incredibly, unimaginably tiny. When scientists peer back through the deep corridors of time, capturing the faint, ancient light that has been traveling toward us for nearly 14 billion years, they're able to see a literal baby picture of the universe. This ancient glow, known as the cosmic microwave background radiation, is the fading afterglow of the Big Bang itself. When we map this primordial light, we see a universe that was hot, dense, and almost perfectly uniform. But it was not completely uniform. Within that glowing fog of primordial energy, there were tiny, microscopic variations. Some incredibly small regions were just a tiny fraction of a degree warmer and slightly denser than the surrounding areas. These minuscule, almost imperceptible differences in density are the absolute origin of everything we see in the night sky today. They are the ancient seeds from which the entire cosmic web eventually blossomed. Over billions of years of deep silence, the relentless, patient pull of gravity took hold of those slightly denser regions, gently drawing in more and more surrounding matter in a quiet snowball effect that spanned the infinite dark. But where did those crucial, microscopic seeds come from in the first place? To answer this, science takes us down into the dizzying realm of quantum mechanics, the physics of the absolute smallest things in reality. In the bizarre quantum world, empty space is never truly empty. It is constantly, quietly boiling with temporary particles that pop into and out of existence, creating tiny, random fluctuations in energy. Scientists believe that during the very first unimaginable fraction of a second after the Big Bang, the universe underwent a period of hyper-accelerated expansion known as inflation. This incredibly violent, incredibly brief stretching of space took those microscopic quantum fluctuations and instantly stretched them to macroscopic scales. The tiny random jitters of the quantum realm were permanently frozen into the expanding cosmos, becoming the tiny density differences we see in the ancient microwave background. Think about the profound beauty of this realization. The massive body of IC 1101, the sprawling threads of the cosmic web, and the very ground you're resting upon right now are all the direct result of tiny, random quantum whispers that occurred when the universe was only a fraction of a second old. This is the rigorously verified reality of creation, and it requires no human-like architect to function. The true nature of God, if we choose to use that word to describe the ultimate source of reality, is not a person making deliberate choices, but the magnificent perfection of the physical laws themselves. It is the majestic, unbroken chain of cause and effect that allows a microscopic quantum jitter to patiently grow into a supercluster of galaxies over 14 billion years. It is the profound tension between the expansive push of dark energy and the contracting embrace of gravity. When we abandon the comforting small stories of our ancestors and embrace this staggering scientific truth, we do not lose our sense of the divine. We elevate it to its proper, infinite scale. We find a universe that is self-contained, self-organizing, and infinitely creative. It does not need to be micromanaged by a conscious overseer, because its most fundamental mathematical code is inherently driven toward the creation of breathtaking complexity and silent beauty. As you lie there, safe and secure, letting the quiet of the night wash over you, allow yourself to feel a deep, resonant connection to this ancient, unfolding process. You are not a stranger wandering through a universe built by an external architect. You are the universe itself, slowly waking up and learning to understand its own magnificent origins. The same physical laws that govern the silent, elegant stretching of the cosmic web are the exact same laws operating in every single cell of your body, holding your atoms together in perfect, delicate balance. The mystery is not something to be solved and hurriedly discarded. It is a gentle, eternal journey of discovery, a contemplative path that we walk together as curious, humbled explorers of the infinite. There is a profound, lasting peace in knowing that we are born from such ancient, unguided perfection, a peace that effortlessly transcends our small, daily human worries and connects us directly to the deepest, most quiet rhythms of the cosmos. As we prepare to delve even deeper into the glorious mysteries of how life, thought, and conscious awareness emerge from this silent, physical architecture, let the immense vastness of the cosmic web gently wrap around your thoughts. It offers you the ultimate, reassuring comfort of truly belonging to something infinitely older and infinitely greater than yourself. Have you ever looked up at the glittering expanse of the night sky and felt a profound, aching sense of isolation, as if you were merely a small, fragile passenger stranded on a lonely, floating rock, entirely disconnected from the cold, burning majesty of the distant stars? We have an innate, deeply ingrained psychological habit of drawing a sharp, distinct line between the earthly and the celestial. We construct elaborate mythologies and comforting narratives that suggest a divine creator fashioned the heavens out of one pure, eternal substance, while crafting human beings from something entirely different, something base, earthly, and flawed. We imagine ourselves as strangers placed into a pre-built world, visitors in a grand cosmic museum designed for our exclusive benefit. But the rigorous, unforgiving, yet breathtakingly beautiful reality of astrophysics gently dismantles this illusion of separation. It replaces our comforting, human-centric stories with a truth that is infinitely more profound, a reality of intimate physical connection that spans across billions of years of deep time and unimaginable stretches of empty space. When we truly understand the long, quiet journey of matter through the cosmos, we discover that the ultimate organizing principle of reality, the true nature of what we so often call God, is not an external artisan molding clay, but a silent, ongoing process of breathtaking internal transformation. To truly comprehend this deep, unbroken connection, we must embark on a meditative journey into the burning, ancient hearts of the stars themselves. Let us travel back in our minds to the very early days of the cosmos, to the first few 100 million years following the violent birth of the universe. In that ancient epoch, the infinite expanse of space was filled with a vast, quiet fog consisting almost entirely of just two incredibly simple elements, hydrogen and helium. The universe in its youth was a beautiful, expanding, but entirely sterile place. Within that primordial mist, there was absolutely no carbon available to form the complex, twisting chains of DNA that hold the memory of life. There was no oxygen to fill expanding lungs, no iron to carry vital energy through warm veins, and no calcium to build the strong bones required to stand upright on a rocky world. If a conscious observer could have existed to witness that early, silent era, they might have logically concluded that the universe was nothing more than a simple, elegant machine destined to expand forever as a cold, featureless cloud. But the invisible, relentless architect of gravity was already at work in the dark, patiently gathering those simple clouds of hydrogen, pulling them tighter and tighter across the vast distances, until the internal pressure and heat became so incredibly intense that nuclear fusion finally ignited, lighting up the deep, freezing silence of the void with the very first brilliant generation of stars. Inside these massive, blazing nuclear furnaces, a magnificent, incredibly slow alchemy began to take place over millions and billions of years of quiet operation. Deep within the crushing core of a star, where the temperature reaches tens of millions of degrees and the pressure is completely beyond human comprehension, simple hydrogen atoms are violently and continuously smashed together to forge slightly heavier elements. This delicate balancing act between the crushing inward pull of gravity and the explosive outward push of nuclear fusion is the true hidden factory of all cosmic creation. The universe does not magically conjure complex materials out of thin air with a spoken word. Instead, it patiently, methodically cooks them in the burning hearts of stars over timescales that defy our human understanding. As an ancient star slowly ages and exhausts its primary fuel source of hydrogen, it begins to burn hotter and denser, fusing helium into carbon, carbon into oxygen, oxygen into neon, and so on, building heavier and heavier elements in concentric, burning layers, much like the layers of a massive, glowing onion. This silent, invisible process is the very mechanism of creation, a set of physical laws operating with perfect, blind precision in the depths of space, slowly preparing the essential ingredients for everything we have ever known or loved. But creating these precious complex elements deep inside a stellar core is only the first half of the miraculous journey. For life to eventually emerge, for rocky planets to form and oceans to flow, these heavy elements must somehow be released from their burning prisons and scattered out into the wider universe. When a truly massive star finally reaches the very end of its long burning life, having fused elements all the way up to iron, its core can no longer produce enough outward energy to support the crushing weight of its own outer layers. In a fraction of a second, the entire star collapses inward upon itself, and then violently rebounds in one of the most powerful, magnificent events in the entire cosmos, a supernova explosion. In that single, blinding flash of cosmic violence, a dying star can temporarily outshine an entire galaxy of 100 billion suns, releasing a torrent of energy that echoes across the deep void. But this terrifying destruction is profoundly, beautifully creative. The unimaginable heat and pressure generated during the supernova explosion itself forged the very heaviest elements in the universe, the shimmering gold, the heavy lead, the radioactive uranium, and forcefully ejects all of these newly created materials far out into the vast, freezing emptiness of interstellar space. These expanding, glowing clouds of enriched gas and dust, these beautiful, colorful nebulas that we admire with a deep sense of wonder in our advanced telescope images, are the true, fertile soil of the universe. They drift silently through the infinite dark for millions of years, carrying the essential, complex building blocks of life within their cold, expanding tendrils. Eventually, over immense stretches of time, the gentle, inescapable pull of gravity once again takes hold of these drifting clouds. It begins to patiently draw this enriched material together, causing the cloud to spin and flatten into a swirling disk, eventually igniting a brand new star at the center and leaving behind a rotating disk of debris that will slowly clump together to form new rocky planets, new icy moons, and perhaps, eventually, new oceans and new atmospheres. This entire breathtaking cycle of birth, death, and rebirth is the true story of our own solar system. Our gentle, steady sun is not a first-generation star. It is a second, or perhaps even third-generation star, built from the scattered, enriched ashes of ancient, massive giants that lived and died in the deep, cosmic night, billions of years before our Earth even existed. This rigorously verified, scientifically accurate history of matter completely shatters the illusion of our separation from the cosmos. It reveals a truth so profound and so deeply humbling that it should bring a sense of absolute peace to anyone who pauses to contemplate it. Every single atom of carbon in your muscles, every atom of nitrogen in your brain, every atom of iron that makes your blood red, and every atom of calcium in your bones was meticulously, violently forged in the burning core of an ancient star. You are not simply a temporary resident of the universe, a fragile visitor placed here by an external hand. You are a literal, physical extension of the cosmos itself. You are made of the exact same star stuff that illuminates the deep cosmic night. We are the universe observing itself, the cosmos slowly waking up after 14 billion years of silent evolution, developing eyes to see the ancient light and minds to comprehend the staggering, beautiful, mathematical poetry of its own origins. It is a mystery that we are privileged to explore, a journey of consciousness that transforms the cold vacuum of space into a living, breathing tapestry of wonder. When we embrace this profound connection, our understanding of the divine must gracefully evolve. The true miracle, the ultimate, awe-inspiring reality, is the unbroken, majestic perfection of the physical laws themselves. The universe does not need to be micromanaged because its fundamental, ancient code is inherently driven towards the creation of astonishing complexity and beauty. As you rest here, feeling the gentle rhythm of your own breathing, allow this immense, humbling reality to wash over you, knowing you belong entirely to the infinite. The same quiet forces that forged the galaxies are holding you safely right now, a permanent and beautiful thread in the eternal fabric of reality. Have you ever stopped to wonder why we instinctively cling so tightly to the comforting illusion of a universal, simultaneous present moment, deeply assuming that a supreme creator must exist in a permanent, unchanging now that watches over every single corner of the infinite cosmos at the exact same time? When we experience our daily human lives, time feels like a steady, universal river, flowing forward at the exact same pace for everyone and everything, a constant ticking clock that dictates the rhythm of reality. We naturally project this deeply ingrained, earthly experience onto our concept of the divine, imagining an ultimate architect who perceives the entire universe in one sweeping, instantaneous glance, witnessing a star being born in a distant galaxy. At the exact same moment, a child takes their first breath here on Earth. But the rigorous, beautifully complex reality of physics gently dismantles this simplistic, human-centric view of time, revealing a profound mystery that completely reshapes our understanding of how the universe truly operates. In the vast, silent depths of space, the concept of a simultaneous present is nothing more than a fragile illusion, and the true organizing principle of reality is woven into a majestic, stretching tapestry of space-time that defies our everyday common sense. To truly comprehend this, we must embark on a quiet, contemplative journey alongside the fastest, most elusive entity in the entire cosmos, a single, glowing particle of light. The universe imposes a strict, unbreakable speed limit on absolutely everything within it, a fundamental law of physics that governs the flow of information and the very unfolding of cause and effect. Light, traveling through the cold, empty vacuum of space, moves at an astonishing speed of roughly 186,000 miles per single second. To our slow human perception, this velocity seems virtually instantaneous. If you switch on a lamp in a dark room, the light floods the space before your brain can even register the passage of time, But when we expand our vision to the staggering, terrifying scales of the infinite cosmos, even this incredible, mind-bending speed becomes agonizingly, beautifully slow. The universe is so unimaginably vast that light itself, the fastest messenger allowed by the ancient laws of physics, takes millions and even billions of years to cross the deep, freezing voids that separate the swirling galaxies. This simple, profound physical fact transforms the entire cosmos into an ultimate, sweeping time machine. When we look up at the night sky, we are never, ever seeing the universe as it exists right now, in this exact moment. We are always, inevitably, looking deep into the ancient past, witnessing objects exactly as they were when their light first began its long, quiet journey toward our fragile, rocky planet. Let us return our thoughts to that massive, elliptical giant dominating the Able 2029 galaxy cluster, the colossal monster we know as IC 1101. This magnificent dying galaxy sits at an estimated distance of over 1 billion light-years away from our own Milky Way. This is not merely a measurement of extreme physical distance. It is a staggering measurement of deep time. The faint, ghostly light that our most advanced, powerful space telescopes gather from this ancient giant today did not leave those 100 trillion stars yesterday, or last year, or even during the dawn of human civilization. That specific, delicate stream of photons began its incredibly long, silent journey through the dark over 1 billion years ago. Imagine, for a moment, the profound, solitary journey of a single photon of light, emitted from the glowing atmospheric surface of an ancient red dwarf star, buried deep within the crowded core of IC 1101. This tiny packet of energy escaped the gravitational grasp of its parent star and plunged headlong into the freezing, empty expanse of intergalactic space, embarking on a journey of 1 billion years across the absolute silence of the void. It traveled constantly, never pausing, never resting, moving through regions of space where the density of matter is so incredibly low that a single atom might be separated from its nearest neighbor by miles of absolute emptiness, while that ancient silent light was patiently crossing the unimaginable gulf between our two galaxies. The Earth was a fundamentally different, completely alien world. 1 billion years ago, there were absolutely no humans to look up at the night sky. There were no towering dinosaurs wandering through lush green forests. There were no delicate insects buzzing through the air, and no complex land plants gripping the soil with deep roots. Our entire planet was populated almost exclusively by single-celled organisms, primitive, microscopic life forms drifting aimlessly in the vast, ancient, global oceans. The continents, as we know them today, did not exist. They were locked into completely different, unrecognizable configurations, slowly drifting on the molten mantle beneath the planet's thin crust. The very atmosphere was different, alien, and unbreathable. Every single major event in the entire history of macroscopic life on Earth, every evolutionary triumph, every mass extinction, every rise and fall of every empire that has ever existed, unfolded during the time it took for that single, quiet beam of light to simply cross the empty space between IC 1101 and our waiting telescopes. By the time that ancient photon finally struck the highly polished, curved mirror of our orbiting observatory, the star that emitted it might have long since died, burning out and fading into a cold, dark cinder millions of years ago. This staggering, deeply verified scientific reality completely shatters the comforting illusion of a synchronized universe. It means that the cosmos does not experience a single unified present moment. The present that you are experiencing right here, right now, as you feel the gentle rhythm of your breathing, is entirely localized, completely specific to your exact position in the vast fabric of space-time. If there were incredibly advanced, intelligent, alien beings living on a planet deep within IC 1101, and they possessed a telescope powerful enough to zoom in and look directly at our Earth right at this very moment, they would not see you. They would not see our modern cities, our bright satellites, or our sprawling civilizations, because the light currently reaching their eyes left our planet 1 billion years ago. They would look at Earth and see only a barren, rocky world covered in ancient, primitive oceans, completely devoid of any complex life. They would have absolutely no way of knowing that we exist today, just as we have no way of knowing what is happening in IC 1101 at this very moment. The information, the very reality of the present, is strictly limited by the unyielding, ancient speed of light. When we bravely confront this profound, beautiful isolation, our understanding of the ultimate creator must gracefully evolve. The divine organizing principle is not a consciousness that sits outside of time, watching a universal clock tick forward. Rather, it is the magnificent, deeply complex geometry of space-time itself, a flexible, weaving fabric where time and space are inextricably linked together into one continuous, stretching reality. The universe is not a perfectly aligned stage play where all the actors perform simultaneously. It is a sprawling, infinite mosaic of countless different pasts, all arriving at our eyes at exactly the same time to create the breathtaking illusion of a unified night sky. The true mystery, the deep wonder that we are invited to contemplate, is how these ancient, unbending laws of physics weave such a perfectly coherent, beautiful tapestry out of such deeply fragmented, time-delayed information. There is no human architect who could possibly coordinate such a sprawling, asynchronous masterpiece. It requires a force far more elegant, far more deeply embedded in the very nature of existence itself. As you rest here, allowing these immense, mind-bending concepts to gently settle into your thoughts, let go of the stressful, earthly need to be perfectly synchronized with the rest of the universe. There is a profound, lasting peace to be found in the realization that we are all time travelers, constantly looking deep into the past every single time we open our eyes to the stars. The universe allows us to look back in time, to witness the ancient history of creation written in the language of traveling light. You do not need a God who exists in an impossible, universal present to feel perfectly safe and deeply connected. You are held within the very fabric of space-time, a fabric governed by rules so ancient, so perfect, and so profoundly beautiful that they require no conscious intervention to maintain their absolute majesty. The quiet, endless journey of light across the cosmos is a gentle reminder of our own fleeting, precious existence. We are a brief, conscious flicker in a universe of deep time, a rare and miraculous moment where the cosmos has evolved the ability to look back at its own ancient past and feel a deep, resonant sense of wonder. Let the deep silence of the void gently wrap around you, offering you the ultimate comfort of a universe that is far grander, far older, and infinitely more mysterious than any simple human story could ever possibly contain. Have you ever sat in the quiet stillness of a deeply darkened room, listening to the gentle, rhythmic beating of your own heart, and wondered if, somewhere across the unimaginable gulf of the infinite cosmos, another conscious being is sitting in their own quiet dark, looking up at their alien sky and asking the exact same existential questions? We have a deeply ingrained, almost desperate psychological need to believe that we are the absolute, singular focus of creation. For thousands of years, our ancient ancestors constructed elaborate, comforting mythologies that placed our small, rocky planet at the exact, unmoving center of the entire universe, imagining a divine architect who built the heavens entirely as a beautiful, glowing canopy just for us to admire. We desperately wanted to believe that human consciousness was the ultimate, finalized goal of a grand cosmic plan, the crowning achievement of a supreme being who thinks, feels, and looks exactly like we do. But when we bravely strip away our human arrogance and gaze into the rigorously studied, majestic reality of astrophysics, we discover a truth that is infinitely more humbling and, surprisingly, infinitely more beautiful. The universe was not built exclusively as a tiny nursery for humanity. It is a vast, ancient, and endlessly fertile canvas where the delicate, complex chemistry of life might be quietly unfolding in hundreds of billions of different, unimaginable ways across the deep, silent dark. To truly understand the sheer, staggering scale of this potential for life, we must look beyond our own assumptions and examine the incredible, hard-won discoveries of modern astronomy. In the year 1995, scientists performed an incredibly bold, deeply philosophical experiment using the powerful Hubble Space Telescope. They decided to point this magnificent orbiting observatory at a tiny, seemingly completely empty patch of the dark night sky, a quiet region near the constellation of Ursa Major that appeared to contain absolutely nothing at all. The physical size of this chosen patch of sky was unfathomably small, roughly equivalent to the size of a single, tiny grain of sand held at arm's length against the vast, sprawling canopy of the night. For over 100 hours, spread patiently across 10 consecutive days, they allowed the telescope to simply stare into that deep, quiet abyss, patiently gathering whatever faint, ancient photons of light might be traveling toward us from the absolute, farthest edges of the observable universe. When they finally processed the resulting image, known today as the Hubble Deep Field, what it revealed fundamentally and permanently altered our perception of our place in the cosmos, expanding our journey of understanding in a single, breathtaking moment. That tiny, seemingly empty speck of darkness was not empty at all. It was overflowing with a staggering, breathtaking abundance of ancient light. The image contained roughly 3,000 distinct, fully formed galaxies. They were not individual stars within our own Milky Way, but entire, magnificent island universes, each one containing billions or even hundreds of billions of its own ancient stars, slowly swirling in the deep cosmic night. Since that profound moment of discovery, even deeper, more sensitive images have been captured, and each time we look deeper, the conclusion becomes more inescapable and more deeply humbling. Everywhere we look, in absolutely every single direction we point our instruments, no matter how incredibly small the area of the sky might be, we find endless oceans of galaxies. The universe is completely filled with them. An estimated 2 trillion galaxies in total, spread majestically across tens of billions of light years of freezing, silent space. This rigorously verified realization completely shatters the fragile, human-centric illusion that we are the sole, exclusive focus of a supreme creator. If a divine architect built this staggering, infinite architecture merely for the benefit of one single species on one tiny planet, then the vast majority of the cosmos is a colossal, unnecessary waste of space and energy. But nature does not waste. The profound mathematical reality is that our colossal friend, The giant elliptical galaxy IC 1101 is just one single, exceptional galaxy among those 2 trillion others. It is a true monster of the void, larger and more massive than almost all the rest, containing roughly 100 trillion stars, but it is still just one drop in a boundless cosmic ocean. If there are 2 trillion galaxies, and modern planetary science tells us that the formation of planets is an inevitable byproduct of star formation, then the total number of worlds in the observable universe completely defies the capacity of the human brain to process. In our Milky Way alone, scientists estimate there are between 100 billion and 400 billion planets. Scale that magnificent probability up to the massive body of IC 1101, and that single galaxy could harbor hundreds of trillions of rotating planets. The true nature of what we call God is not a quiet, lonely king ruling over a single world, but the infinite, silent potential for matter to wake up and organize itself into conscious beings across the entire breadth of the dark. Imagine, for a peaceful, contemplative moment, what it might be like to be one of those hypothetical, intelligent beings living deep within the crowded, glowing core of IC 1101. Because their galaxy is an enormous elliptical structure lacking the dusty, flat spiral arms of our own home, their view of the night sky would be fundamentally different and breathtakingly beautiful. The stars would be distributed in a massive, spherical pattern, completely surrounding them in a glorious, unbroken shell of ancient starlight. The density of stars in that central region is so incredibly high that there might not be any true, deep darkness at all. The combined perpetual glow of billions upon billions of nearby, ancient red and yellow stars would fill their alien sky with a soft, eternal twilight. The night would be ablaze with a silent, majestic light, a continuous glowing reminder of the immense, crowded cosmic city in which they gently reside. Yet, because their sky is so blindingly full of local light, they might face incredible, almost insurmountable difficulties in observing the wider universe beyond their own galactic home. The sheer density of their local stellar neighborhood might completely obscure their view of the deep intergalactic void, hiding the existence of other galaxies, including our own distant, tiny Milky Way, from their curious, searching eyes. They might develop brilliant mathematics, compose beautiful music, and ask profound philosophical questions about the nature of their existence, all while believing that their glowing, spherical home is the absolute entirety of creation. They might feel the exact same deep, existential loneliness, the exact same yearning for connection that we feel when we look up at our own sky. The universe is incredibly generous with its marvels, providing an endless source of wonder, but it also imposes strict physical limitations on our perception, reminding us gently that our knowledge will always be incomplete, and that the quiet journey of discovery is truly an infinite, unending path. This shared, universal experience of intellectual tension, the beautiful struggle between what is known and the vast, shadowy realms of the unknown, is the true, defining hallmark of consciousness. Whether it is happening right here on Earth, or on a rocky planet orbiting a tiny red dwarf star 1 billion light years away, the drive to understand the grand mystery of existence is a fundamental, emergent property of the cosmos itself. We are not isolated observers looking at the universe from the outside. We are the universe actively observing itself from within. As you rest peacefully in this exact moment, allow the deep, quiet comfort of this realization to settle completely into your bones. You do not need a judgmental deity to give your life profound meaning. The physical universe itself, operating through beautiful, elegant, and completely indifferent mathematical laws, has provided you with the greatest gift imaginable, the brief, miraculous opportunity to exist, to feel, and to understand. You are a temporary, beautiful configuration of ancient stardust, held safely and securely in the gentle, inescapable embrace of gravity, floating peacefully in an endless, majestic ocean of dark energy and expanding space. Let the profound silence of the cosmos calm your mind, knowing that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. Have you ever wondered why the very ground beneath your feet, the solid, unyielding earth that supports your every step, feels so incredibly permanent, when the rigorously studied reality of physics tells us it is composed almost entirely of absolute, silent emptiness? When we construct our most cherished, comforting narratives about a supreme creator, we instinctively reach for metaphors of absolute solidity. We imagine a divine architect who represents a firm, immovable foundation, a mighty fortress of stone, an anchor of absolute heavy permanence in a chaotic world. We naturally project this deeply ingrained physical experience of the earthly world onto the entire cosmos, assuming that the universe itself, and whatever ultimate organizing principle created it, must be built from hard, indestructible, tangible materials. But when we bravely embark on a quiet, contemplative journey inward, leaving behind the vast, swirling galaxies to explore the absolute smallest, most hidden building blocks of reality, we encounter a profound, beautiful paradox. The scientific truth of the microscopic world gently but firmly shatters our illusion of solidity, revealing a staggering mystery that completely redefines our understanding of what the physical universe and its ultimate source truly is. To comprehend this beautiful, mind-bending reality, we must gently shift our perspective away from the terrifying, majestic scale of the giant elliptical galaxies and focus our attention on the quiet, invisible realm of the atom. For most of human history, we believe the atom was the ultimate, indivisible unit of matter, a tiny, hard, indestructible pixel of reality. But as our instruments grew more sensitive and our intellectual curiosity pushed us further into the shadowy realms of the unknown, brilliant minds discovered that the atom is not a solid object at all. It is, in fact, a vast, complex, and almost entirely empty architecture. If you were to magically enlarge a single atom of the carbon currently resting within your own hand until its dense, heavy nucleus was the exact size of a small marble sitting quietly in the very center of a massive, sprawling football stadium, the electrons orbiting that nucleus would not be found anywhere near the center. They would be incredibly tiny, almost imperceptible specks of energy, buzzing furiously around the very highest, darkest, and most distant seats of the grandstands. Absolutely everything existing between that tiny, central marble and those distant, swirling specks is nothing but pure, unadulterated, freezing emptiness. This means that the rigorously verified mathematical reality of your own body, the chair you might be sitting in, the planet we call home, and every single one of the 100 trillion stars burning quietly in the massive body of our colossal friend, the galaxy IC 1101, is that they are all composed of 99.99999% empty space. You are, quite literally, a walking, breathing, conscious collection of vast, microscopic voids. This profound scientific revelation mirrors the terrifying, beautiful emptiness we observe on the grandest cosmic scales. Just as the space existing between the ancient stars in a giant galaxy is almost unimaginably empty, filled with only the faintest whisper of gas and the occasional particle of radiation traveling through the dark. The space existing within the very atoms that make up your physical form is equally, beautifully barren. The macrocosm and the microcosm share this profound, silent emptiness, a deep, pervasive void that serves as the true, infinite canvas of creation. But this realization immediately presents our human minds with a beautiful, challenging intellectual tension. If you are made almost entirely of empty space, and the floor beneath you is made almost entirely of empty space, why do you not simply fall straight through it? Why does the world feel so incredibly, undeniably solid to our fragile human touch? The answer to this profound mystery introduces us to the true, hidden substance of the cosmos, the silent, invisible forces that weave the complex illusion of reality. You do not fall through the floor because of the immense, unyielding power of electromagnetism, the distant, swirling clouds of negatively charged electrons in the atoms of your shoes forcefully repel the identical, negatively charged electron clouds in the atoms of the wooden floor. The resistance you feel, the comforting sensation of absolute solidity, is nothing more than the gentle, invisible repulsion of mathematical energy fields. This revelation transforms our entire understanding of what it means to physically exist. The substance of the universe is not made of hard, tangible things. The ultimate reality is not material, it is relational. It is an infinitely complex, shimmering web of ancient interactions, a delicate, mathematical dance of invisible energy fields overlapping and communicating with one another across the void. The cosmos is less like a great, heavy machine built from solid parts, and much more like a continuous, sweeping symphony of interacting vibrations. When we abandon our simple, primitive need for a creator built of solid, unyielding permanence, and instead embrace the rigorously studied reality of quantum fields and atomic emptiness, our concept of the divine must undergo a majestic, humbling evolution. The true organizing principle of reality, the profound nature of what we so often refer to as God, is not a builder who stacks heavy stones in the dark. It is the perfect, elegant set of mathematical rules that govern how these invisible fields of energy interact, balance, and sustain the breathtaking illusion of a solid world. Let us journey back for a contemplative moment to our massive, silent friend, the giant elliptical galaxy IC 1101. We have marveled at its terrifying, majestic size, stretching across 4 to 6 million light-years of space, and we have been deeply humbled by the presence of its 100 trillion ancient stars. But now, with our newly acquired perspective of the microscopic world, we can look at this true monster of the void through a completely different, even more profound lens. Every single one of those 100 trillion burning nuclear furnaces is composed entirely of the exact same empty, vibrating atoms that make up your own body. The colossal, supermassive black hole sitting patiently in the dark at the absolute center of that galaxy, containing the incomprehensible mass of 50 billion of our suns, is the ultimate, terrifying extreme of this physical reality. It is a place where the invisible forces of gravity become so overwhelmingly powerful that they completely crush the vast empty spaces within the atoms themselves, collapsing the delicate, shimmering web of electron fields into a point of infinite density and absolute, unbreakable silence. When we bravely confront the sheer, staggering vastness of the macrocosm and the deeply unsettling, ghostly emptiness of the microcosm, our natural human response is often a fleeting sense of existential vertigo. We feel as though We are precariously balanced on a razor's edge between two terrifying infinities, the infinitely large and the infinitely small. But this intellectual tension, this profound, respectful wonder, is the very essence of the human journey. We are the unique, conscious observers situated exactly in the middle of these two breathtaking extremes. We are the precise size necessary to look up and study the swirling motions of massive galaxy clusters, and simultaneously look down to probe the silent, invisible depths of the quantum realm. This is our unique, beautiful purpose in the cosmos. We are the universe's way of thinking about itself, its way of slowly, gently unraveling the deep, ancient mysteries of its own magnificent construction. We do not need to fear the empty spaces, whether they exist between the distant, fading stars or deep within our own beating hearts. The void is not a terrifying absence of meaning. It is the necessary, fertile canvas upon which the beautiful, complex interactions of energy can paint the magnificent masterpiece of reality. The true nature of what we call God is not a solid, immovable object, but the infinite, quiet potential that exists within the empty spaces, the perfect, unyielding rules of physics that allow a universe composed almost entirely of nothing to somehow feel so incredibly, wonderfully solid. As you continue to breathe softly, anchored securely in this exact moment, let the immense, quiet beauty of this paradox bring you a deep, lasting sense of inner peace. You are an intricate, essential part of this ancient, shimmering illusion, a conscious, living testament to the miraculous, self-organizing power of the infinite cosmos. We will continue to walk this quiet path of exploration together, gently peeling back the layers of reality, forever seeking to understand the deep, majestic silence that binds everything in existence. Have you ever realized that the ultimate search for meaning was never meant to end with a definitive answer, but to transform into an infinite journey of respectful wonder? We began this exploration by looking up at the night sky, searching the silent darkness for a familiar human face, seeking a conscious creator who might offer absolute certainty and permanent preservation. We ventured past the edge of our home galaxy, traveling across billions of light years to witness the staggering scale of giants and the vast, expanding oceans of deep time. We confronted the invisible forces of gravity and the silent, ghost-like presence of dark matter shaping the cosmic web. We watched ancient stars collapse and explode, scattering the heavy elements of life into the freezing void, and we peered into the unsettling emptiness of the quantum realm. Through all these revelations, the universe systematically stripped away our primitive, comforting myths. The cosmos revealed a truth more profound and more beautiful than any human story. The ultimate reality is not an architect operating outside the laws of physics. The ultimate reality is the laws of physics. The divine is the unbroken, elegant mathematics that allows a universe composed of almost pure emptiness to self-organize into conscious beings capable of looking back at the stars. When we surrender our need for a human-like deity, we do not lose our connection to the sacred. Instead, we elevate our understanding of what is sacred to an infinite scale. There is immense peace in accepting that the universe does not revolve around human concerns. The cosmos operates with complete indifference to our daily struggles, our constructed empires, and our imagined importance. This indifference is not a cold, cruel rejection. It is a liberating truth. It frees us from the heavy burden of cosmic expectation. We are not the final goal of a predetermined plan, nor are we flawed subjects waiting for judgment. We are a spontaneous, temporary expression of the universe itself. We are the precise configuration of ancient stardust necessary for the cosmos to wake up, look around, and feel awe. The silent, invisible forces that pull galaxies together and hold the atoms of your body intact are the true, constant companions of your existence. They require no worship and no sacrifice. They ask only to be understood. This shift in perspective transforms our relationship with the unknown. The dark spaces between the stars are no longer regions of fear. They represent the infinite potential of matter and energy to combine in novel, unexpected ways. To sit under a clear night sky and contemplate this reality is an act of deep meditation. For thousands of years, we suffered under the illusion of separation. We drew a strict boundary between the earthly and the celestial, believing we were flawed visitors placed into a perfect, eternal realm. Astrophysics dismantles this boundary with absolute precision. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen you breathe, every essential element of your physical form was forged in the crushing, burning core of a dying star billions of years ago. When that ancient star met its death in a massive supernova, it sent those vital ingredients across the deep vacuum of space. Those heavy elements drifted for eons in swirling clouds of gas and dust before gravity pulled them together to form our solar system, our rocky planet, and eventually the very cells that make up your body. You are a literal, physical extension of the night sky. You are not looking at the universe from the outside. You are the universe observing its own magnificent structure from within. This unbroken chain of physical connection spans 14 billion years. It unites you with the deepest voids, the most massive superclusters, and the expanding fabric of space-time. When you take a deep breath of air, you're inhaling the same atoms that once floated in the vast, silent nebulas of the early cosmos. There is no separation. There is only unity, expressed through the endless transformation of matter and energy. We must also release our desperate grip on the illusion of a universal present moment. The vast distances of the cosmos turn every observation into a look deep into the past. The light, reaching our telescopes today, left its source millions or billions of years ago, crossing the silent dark, while whole epochs of history unfolded and vanished on Earth. The universe is an asynchronous masterpiece, a staggering mosaic of countless different pasts arriving at our eyes simultaneously. This reality teaches us that existence is not a static museum, but an ongoing, dynamic process of change. Dark energy pushes the galaxies apart, isolating structures and ensuring that the universe will eventually fade into a cold, dark equilibrium over hundreds of trillions of years. This slow, inevitable fading is not a tragedy. It is the natural, beautiful life cycle of the cosmos. The era of bright stars and conscious observers is a fleeting, glorious window of complexity, suspended between the burning chaos of the beginning and the silent emptiness of the end. We are privileged to exist during this brief flowering of light. Our task is not to preserve this moment forever, but to bear witness to its beauty. We are the memory keepers of the universe, recording the rise and fall of celestial bodies and mapping the intricate pathways of cosmic evolution. This perspective demands true, profound humility. It forces us to abandon our arrogance and accept the limits of our knowledge. We exist on a tiny grain of rock orbiting an ordinary star in a quiet, unassuming corner of a vast galaxy. Yet, our minds can encompass the entire observable universe. We can measure the mass of a supermassive black hole a billion light-years away, and we can trace the origin of matter back to the first fraction of a second of creation. This intellectual capacity is our true, defining purpose. We are the mechanism through which the cosmos generates meaning. The universe itself is silent, blind, and unfeeling. But through our eyes, it sees its own beauty. Through our minds, it comprehends its own ancient history. The drive to explore, to ask questions, and to push the boundaries of the unknown is a fundamental property of nature expressing itself through human curiosity. The journey of scientific discovery is the highest form of reverence. Every time we point a telescope at a blank patch of sky and discover a new galaxy, we are expanding the consciousness of the universe. Every time we translate the hidden language of reality into a form we can understand, we connect to the grandest scales of existence. As we reach the conclusion of this exploration, we realize that the search for the ultimate truth is an infinite journey. Science will never provide a final, absolute answer that shuts the door on mystery. Every discovery opens new avenues of inquiry. Every answered question reveals deeper, more complex layers of reality. This is not a failure of human intellect. It is the glorious nature of the cosmos. The universe is far too rich, far too intricate, and far too vast to be reduced to a single, static conclusion. The mystery will always endure, inviting us to keep looking up, to keep asking questions, to keep exploring the silent dark. The peace we seek is found not in the destination, but in the continuous, humble act of walking the path. By embracing the tension between the known and the unknown, we transform our existential anxiety into a deep, resonant wonder. We learn to rest in the shadow of the infinite, comfortable with our smallness and grateful for our brief, conscious spark. The true measure of our wisdom is not how much we know, but how well we navigate the vast oceans of our own ignorance. We must become comfortable with uncertainty, treating every new piece of data as a precious gift that refines our understanding. My name is Theodore, the researcher, and it has been my profound honor to guide you on this journey across the deepest mysteries of the physical universe. I am here not as a final authority, but as a fellow traveler, a gentle companion navigating the infinite dark alongside you. We have challenged our deepest assumptions, replaced comforting myths with staggering realities, and found a new, profound peace in our connection to the ancient cosmos. But this exploration is far from over. There are countless other mysteries waiting in the silent depths of space, countless other questions that challenge our understanding of reality. I invite you to continue this infinite journey with me. Become a part of our community of curious, humble explorers. We notice that 76% of people who watch our explorations have not subscribed yet. If this journey brought you peace, if it expanded your perspective and helped you find beauty in the rigorous reality of the universe, please take a moment to subscribe and join our ongoing quest for understanding. The universe is vast, the mysteries are endless, and the path forward is always brighter when we walk it together. Keep looking up, keep asking questions, and never lose your profound sense of wonder.